I'm Yashoraj Tyagi. I am the CTO and CBO at CASHe, a credit-led next generation financial services and financial wellness platform for young salaried millennials in India. We are in the domain of credit, investments, and insurance today. And we want to redefine the way Indians consume financial products and access financial products today. My personal background comes from having a deep history in data science and machine learning. And I have also worked a fair bit in behavioral finance and behavioral science as well, which allows me to actually bring in my expertise in creating our algorithms at CASHe, which has allowed us to sort of lend to customers who are typically underserved and underbanked as well. And by way of using alternate data and harnessing patterns coming from alternate data, using algorithms fundamentally rooted in the premises of behavioral finance. I've been responsible for spearheading investments, goal-based investing, as well as all credit-related products that we have launched. Very happy to be here at the second edition of CXO Data Intelligence Summit 2022, courtesy CXO TV, and very happy to share my thoughts for. So I'm very happy to share my thoughts around the future of data science and machine learning. I fundamentally believe that while data science and machine learning and big data analytics have been around for a while now, even though really the production related use cases of that started only in 2015 or somewhere around that in India, which seems like a long time from now, but it's still, which I honestly believe is still getting started. There was this entire bubble, entire sort of buzz around AI-based startups that raised a big amount of funding back early on, and sort of built. Some of them were fairly successful. Some of them were not so much. But it is only after that kind of a bubble that you actually see sustainable businesses being built out of technology solutions that are meant to be, future defining. And artificial intelligence is definitely one of them. Right. And why so? Like, if you look at the last 30 years, you can really define tech-based products into a few categories. Like, first of all, there were some basic offline to online problems that were being solved, right? Like making payments or creating digital wallets, right? And at these entire set of wallet companies, entire set of payment companies coming up, that now, creating a wallets company is basically a week's job, right? It's that simple. So the next thing that came up was to make these same services overly simple to customers by creating better user experiences, working on stacks like an India stack today, making onboarding simple and stuff like that. But then that also is the wow factor. And where does that come from? I'd say that, Jeff Bezos had a back then by actually saying that, he wants every customer to access his own Amazon store. So when a customer accesses his or her own Amazon store, that means that the experience is so personalized that everything you see in your entire experience on the platform is completely tailor-made to you, right? And that's obviously not manual, right? Like, that's driven by intelligence that you've gathered on the customer over time. Like, of this entire tech product development lifecycle that we have seen is to actually hyper-personalize experiences for customers. It's a long time. We've been speaking about, decision engines since a long time, but they can really boast of having production ML systems in India, except for the handful lot really smart intelligence on production and curating. So I'd say that the future of data science and analytics, machine learning with this introduction can be divided into a few parts. First is for every company, you need very strong reporting. You need very strong historical diagnosis and basis which you can create a prognosis of what has happened in the past. Secondly, you need extremely strong predictive analytics for any product curation. For basically, your predictive analytics would also be something as simple as knowing that who will churn out from your system or who's most likely to make a purchase of a product, and so on and so forth. And the last part is hyper personalization of your product, right, which has to be typically driven also by ML-based systems. So reporting, I think, has come a long way. I think, unfortunately, people still view reporting as being fairly MIS driven, which is a very age-old way of looking at it. I think the world has moved on from there. I think there are systems intelligent enough to not just solve problems, but also tell you why those problems exactly happened and do an RCA for you as well, so that it's not just an MIS report that you're looking at, and then try to figure out, why have certain metrics not panned out the way you wanted them to. But why has XYZ things not happened, or why has ABC happened? So there are systems out there are decision engines out there who can tell you anomalies in the system, who can tell you that what is not happening as per plan, what is it that should have been improved out there, what is not happening as what you projected, and what could be the RC around that, because then you have factors that influence that meeting that objective, and those factors probably are not playing out the way they used to. So which factors are more heavily dependent on more heavily influencing what you're getting as the output. So those kind of reporting transformation is something that organizations are seeing, but at a slow pace, and I see that happening a lot more. It's not talked about as much, but I think that whether it concerns FP&A, whether it concerns business planning, whether it concerns operations, growth, everything can benefit from something like that. The next part, which I mentioned about, is essentially doing strong predictive analytics. Today, the companies are sitting on a wealth of customer data, right? And whenever you're curating new products or doing a business planning for the next 2 quarters, 3 quarters, one financial year, or you are actually just, at the end of the day, trying to also create ML pipelines in production for things like, is this credit, can this customer be approved for a credit card, can this customer be pitched a certain product, or can this customer be pitched a certain song as well, if you're a song streaming platform like a Spotify. So that ultimately boils down to strong predictive analytics, which ultimately boils down to you utilizing your existing data set very, very efficiently, and making sure that every customer data point that you have that has been accessed with explicit customer consent is being used in the right way to run analytics that actually benefit customer experience, and you allow you to create products that become better than you essentially become better than A/B testing at creating products, because then you're not releasing a product and then figuring out that how does it pan out to in the market to essentially call it a success or a failure. But with predictive analytics, you can know probably on day -1 before launch that how something going to pan up, because you're essentially estimating customer demand, looking at customer propensity for doing certain actions, purchasing certain goods and items, and that is very, very powerful. And I believe that we do that at CASHe as a whole. We have built on using predictive analytics to be able to solve the problem of under penetration in the credit markets in India, and create an alternate credit score that is essentially able to lend money to these customers who are typically not serviced by anybody. And then we use the same engines to be able to run lead propensity scores as well, that we get like 40,000, 50,000 registered customers every few hours. And then how do you exactly figure out that who is somebody who's actually got the intent to take the credit products of the kind that we are offering? And for that, a credit propensity score really helps a lot, right? Lastly, we've just acquired a wealth tech platform as well, and today, if you want to see if who has more propensity to invest their money and which kind of investment products, it's very important to know the existing investment behavior and create predictive analytics solutions on top of that. So the opportunities are limitless. There is a lot that can be done, simply because the amount of data that we are creating today at an individual level is just phenomenal, right? Like there's this popular anecdote that since the inception of the humankind we have created as much data in the last 2 years as much was created since inception till the last 2 years. So that is how fast and how much amount of data we are creating every day today, because the amount of digital touch points have just become phenomenal, and that is only going to grow up. So it is important that companies take cognizance of that and build stacks around that. And the last slide was mostly on hyper personalization. I covered that in the beginning with that Amazon anecdote, but I also believe that there's this entire concept about companies that want to be like full stack platform, or so a super app per se. They end up essentially looking like shopping malls to their customers, where everything is just bombarded to the customer at the same time. And why does that happen? That happens because, again, you're not utilizing data to the fullest to understand who the customer actually is, right? And what does that mean? That means that you have to understand the preferences of a customer, lifestyle patterns of a customer. You have to understand that how do they behave every day, what kind of buying, spending habits they have, to be able to then figure out that, okay, what is it that I have that can fit the customer needs very well, instead of throwing everything at the customer and making them make a choice, right? That we've again moved way past that age. We are doing an injustice to the customer, that even after the customer consenting to share all this data with us, if you're not able to curate and recommend them products that are actually good for them, right? And that's where what hyper personalization actually is. Today, if I come to CASHe app, CASHe should know that whether I have propensity to take credit or investments or insurance, it probably sees that I have a lot of medical purchases happening the last few months. So probably hospital cover is something that will really help me. And then that's the first thing you should see, right? If there's an app which is focusing on a financial wellness in terms of recommending the products that are right for them makes a lot of difference. And that is exactly what we're trying to do with running, on the edge ML models via live training and by displaying those results live to every customer as soon as the customers reach those respective places on the app. So that's what I'd say about hyper personalization. So I think that these three legs of how we see data science, like reporting being first, predictive analytics being second, and hyper personalization being the third, are going to be the fundamental drivers in the next sort of push that we're going to see in AI and ML adoption across companies. So that's what I'd say on this, and it was a pleasure sharing my thoughts on this, and very happy to be a part of this forum for future discussions as well.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.